Welcome into the Michigan Football Report. We are days away from Michigan taking on Wisconsin under the lights in Ann Arbor at Michigan Stadium. A game that the Wolverines, surprisingly, at least to me it's surprising, are favored by 7.5 points against the Wisconsin Badgers. I am James Yoder, the face of Michigan football media, bringing you a dozen or so Michigan football rumors to kick off the second half of the season. We're basically halfway through the year for Michigan. One bye week left out there, 6 games. 4 of them definitely losable. So let's get into these rumors to start off your week with the Michigan Football Report. The Penn State game 3 weeks from now, November 3rd. Is it going to be under the lights just like this Saturday's game versus Wisconsin is? I'm giving this one 2 Harbaugh heads, means that people are talking. A blog called Blueprint, a few friends of mine are working at Blueprint, putting out there. They claim to have a good source that says the Penn State game on November 3rd will be under the lights. Now, Penn State plays Michigan State this Saturday. Michigan plays Michigan State next Saturday. The Michigan game, of course, with State is on the road. Should both those teams beat Michigan State and go, no additional losses between them, both teams will be rolling into that game with a 7-1, 8-1 record. Both definitely inside the top 10, I believe, if you get a couple losses out there between now and November 3rd. With that being said, I think it would definitely be highly possible that this game would be under the lights. I would welcome it. We know last year Michigan did have a game under the lights in the month of November against Minnesota. So this one, people are talking. There are reports out there that people say they have sources that Penn State game will be under the lights, but keep an eye on it as we go forward. We probably won't know for another week or so whether or not this Penn State game will be a night game or maybe a high noon game, which the great Bo Schembechler used to love, noon and 1 o'clock games. Let's talk about Wisconsin this week. Is Wisconsin a must-win for Jim Harbaugh? I've seen a few reporters put out there. Some of the insiders I talked to say, look, this might be Harbaugh's first must-win game of his Michigan career. Everything leading up to this is building a program, having opportunities sometimes where Michigan really exceeded expectations, like the 2016, maybe even the 2015 season, a down year in 17 that a lot of people expected. But now, with that loss to Notre Dame, this ugly 1-6 record versus Notre Dame, Michigan State, and Ohio State hanging over his head, with Wisconsin being a team Michigan should have beat last year and did beat in 2016, is this a game, if they lose at home when they're more than a touchdown favorite, that people will just kind of come out and say, look, Harbaugh is what he is at this point. He's an 8-4, 9-3 coach, and there's no championship level aspirations that this program is going to have under Jim Harbaugh. And there's a lot of reason for the fact that people might say this is a must-win for Jim Harbaugh. We take a look at the records versus the rivals. Now, people will say, look, he's got a 2-1 record against Penn State. He's got a 1-1 record against Wisconsin. Those are teams that, at equal levels to certainly Michigan State, and Wisconsin really in the past few years has been right there neck and neck with Ohio State, going to the Big Ten championship game every year. Undefeated season last year through the regular season, but 1-2 versus State, 0-3 versus Ohio State, and his first chance at a road victory at Notre Dame this year in his first game versus the Irish. Lost that one by 7, 0-1. So people are definitely putting the pressure on Jim Harbaugh. 3 Harbaugh heads on this one. That is pretty likely that this is a must-win. If they lose to Wisconsin, if they come out slow, barely score in the first half, look putrid offense, you're going to have guys like me, believe me, many more folks than me, coming down on Jim Harbaugh, both locally and nationally, that look, the gloss is worn off him. He can't win the big one, and he's never going to at Michigan. So that is what we're facing this Saturday in Ann Arbor. Let's take a look at rumor number 3. Has Rashan Gary been injured all season? Now, I was really hard on Rashan Gary a couple weeks ago after I thought it was a very lackluster performance in which he got hurt against Northwestern out there in Evanston. And a lot of people say, whoa, back off Rashan, he gets double teamed every play, which is, by the way, not even close to true. It's like 12% of the plays he gets double or triple teamed. Chase Winovich, much higher percentage. But I've given this one 4 Harbaugh heads. Got a chance to talk to quite a few people in the past few days that either talked to Rashan's family or talked to another player in the team and said, look, Rashan's been hurt all year. Jim Harbaugh has really been pushing for him to play. Don Brown's really been pushing for him to play. His mother, potentially, don't have a perfect source in this one. I have talked to his mom in the past, but couldn't get a hold of her on this one. His mom didn't really want Rashan to play this year and was one of the factors with him sitting out last week. Now, Jim Harbaugh said Rashan Gary is expected to return this Saturday versus Wisconsin, but I also heard that if he doesn't play this Saturday versus Wisconsin, we might be looking at a situation that we could. Listen, I'm not saying this is going to happen. I'm not even predicting this is going to happen. I just heard a little whisper that if this last 2 games, potentially could be 3 games that he is out, there is a small shred, maybe a small faction of people whispering Rashan Gary's ear, much like Bosa at Ohio State, that maybe you've been playing hurt all year, you should just sit this one out, get ready for the NFL. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm not claiming it's going to happen. I don't want to see the blog boys like they did a couple weeks ago with our Joe Milton rumor saying, Yoder said that Rashan Gary's quitting Michigan football team. Not what I'm saying. Just saying if he misses this game, if he misses another game after this, don't be surprised if that's what it could spiral into. The injury's more serious than we originally anticipated, and he's got people whispering in his ear about thinking about his future. But I don't want to hear you blog boys and you Sam Websters talking trash like I'm spreading rumors. Just forecasting here. Keep an eye out for Rashan Gary this week. Don't let the blog boys spread fake news on Yoder. All right, let's take a look at these Harbaugh heads. Let you guys know what they are. If you haven't watched the Michigan Football Report, where have you been? If you would know what the Harbaugh heads means. If it's 0 Harbaugh heads, that's totally false. Fake news. 1 Harbaugh head, small shred of truth. 2 Harbaugh heads means that people are talking 50-50. It's firmly in the rumor category. 3 Harbaugh heads means it's pretty likely. If we give it the 4 Harbaugh heads, that means it's F-A-C-K, fact. That is how Jim Harbaugh spells it. That is how we spell it here at Chat Sports, the Michigan Football Report. I want to welcome you guys and invite you guys to a college football pick'em to take on me. Free game with our friends at BetDSI. Go to chatsports.com/bet. Promo code GoBlue. College football top 25 pick 'em. Pick every game against the spread every week. I'm going to give $25 to this week's winner. You have to risk nothing. Just make sure you use that promo code GoBlue when you sign up so you qualify for the prize. Sign up with BetDSI, get an account, DM me. I'll send you the link in the ways to join our private Michigan football game to pick the top 25 college football games this week against the spread. Whoever picks most correctly, $25 to me. Invite friends, by the way, because if we get a ton of players, we can increase that prize pool. Let's take a look at the next rumor on the list today. Is Joe Milton's future at Michigan? I was the one who told you a few weeks ago that, look, he left campus after the Nebraska game. He went back to Florida. He put that tweet out. I was born at night, but not last night. I can read between the lines. I can talk to a few people. Joe Milton was pissed, as I said then, but has confirmed to multiple people. I talked to one guy a couple nights ago that said he spoke to Milton directly, and Milton basically said, I got to think about my future. Look at Ohio State. A guy like Tate Martell last year was 4th in the depth chart. Now, looking at maybe only playing 1 year after Dwayne Haskins finishes eligibility. Now with Haskins playing, with Joe Burrow going on to LSU, Haskins playing so well could go pro. You might see Tate Martell have 3 years of starting. Joe Milton hoping the same thing happens for him at Michigan with 3 talented players ahead of him on the depth chart. So I am saying, pretty likely here. It's we're keeping it 3 Harbaugh heads. Joe Milton staying at Michigan. Transfer rumors that I didn't start, by the way. So you blog boys that try to put it out there, you Isaiah Hole, you bum from Wolverine Wire trying to say I'm starting rumor. I didn't start the rumor. I said look at the evidence. You make your own decisions. He looks like he's going to stay. Has confirmed with people this week that he will be at Michigan long term. So 3 Harbaugh heads on this one. How about this hot internet message board rumor? Michigan going to release chrome helmets for the game against Wisconsin this Saturday. This one is fake news, ladies and gentlemen. Very fake news. If you are on the Go Blog message boards and all the sites that I don't frequent and that I recommend that you don't, you would be seeing rumors like this helmet that we're going to show you here in just a moment is what Michigan will be wearing Saturday. This is completely fabricated from a YouTube video from a couple of years ago that for some reason the blog boys and message boards guys were proliferating across the internet. Saw it all over Facebook that, hey, Michigan's going to wear this helmet this week. It's ugly. It's terrible. Totally fake news. Now, there's a chance they could come out with some alternative uniform. I can't say that. I've heard nothing to the likes, but the helmet is not going to be this crazy whack chrome helmet that you see that's being spread, these fake news being spread elsewhere, but you can be sure that Chat Sports and the Michigan Football Report is setting you straight when it comes to Michigan football helmets and the uniforms this Saturday against Wisconsin. Let's take a look at the next rumor. It is a pretty devastating one because he's been playing pretty well. I'm giving this one 3 Harbaugh heads. Michael Dwumfour done for the year. Now, there was a very touching and inspirational and team-focused moment when he got hurt. It didn't look like crazy bad when he got hurt, but when he was being carted off the field, his entire team came out and really kind of rallied around him. And so with that, you kind of see the injury here. It wasn't like he got crushed. He kind of just got undercut a little bit. Some have said Achilles, some have said knee, some have said ankle, but I am hearing that it is very, very likely. I'm giving 3 Harbaugh heads. Pretty likely. I don't want to give it 4 Harbaugh heads because people have been wrong in the past. Medical people have healed from injury faster than expectation, but it's seemingly trending in the direction that Michael Dwumfour is done for the year, will not return this year. Unfortunately, won't be able to get a red shirt or anything like that because we're too far in the season. So his year is most likely done. 3 Harbaugh heads on that one, and so that makes Michigan with Rashan Gary, with Aubrey Solomon, Michael Dwumfour, a lot of injuries on that defensive line. Lawrence Marshall missed a game earlier in the year. So Michigan is thin, certainly will need as much depth this week against Wisconsin and their absurdly good running attack if they want to beat the Badgers here in Ann Arbor. All right, let's take a look at the latest odds on Jim Harbaugh being Michigan's head coach long term. So we told you about these a few weeks ago. There are now betting odds. BetDSI, the sports book that we know and trust, has put up these odds as well. They've changed. They've actually kind of changed in the favor of Michigan football fans if you're a fan of Jim Harbaugh staying as Michigan's coach. So I want to know from you guys, will Harbaugh be the coach here next year? No, he's never coached at a school or pro team past 4 years. And of course, this is year number 4 in Ann Arbor for Jim Harbaugh. The odds say yes. If you put 100 down, negative 72, you win your 100, of course. You risk 100, you get 58-14 in winnings. And if you see there no, you have, of course, if you put no and he goes to the pros, then you get 120 plus the $100 you risk. So you got to be thinking the odds are much more likely he's going to be there. The gambling, the sports books, BetDSI, are telling us with these gambling odds. So those are the odds. You can make that bet right now at BetDSI, chatsports.com/bet. Promo code GoBlue, get you 120% deposit bonus. Put down 100, you get 120 free. It is the best deal in the game. Hundreds of you, maybe thousands at this point, I don't know, have signed up and got going with BetDSI because of the Michigan Football Report, and it is 100% customer satisfaction. Take a look at the next rumor on this week's Michigan Football Report Rumors Roundup. Will Tarik Black and Aubrey Solomon be returning this season, and will that be against Penn State in 3 weeks? I'm giving this one 3 Harbaugh heads. There was a small shred of a chance maybe a few weeks back that they were targeting for Michigan State, but from everything I've heard over the last week, with Michigan State not being as good, and I think some people not thinking as being as tough a game as anticipated, and Shea Patterson finding opportunities to find Nico Collins, Zach Gentry, Tarik Black's not necessarily as needed as maybe once we thought he would be. Defensive line, though, is a concern, is that Michigan won't rush him back for Michigan State. Give him another week past this week, one more week against Michigan State. Then they've got the bye week. So really these guys have 3 more weeks to be healthy. You want to be practicing 3 weeks from now in that couple days leading up to the Penn State game, which if Michigan wins this week and next week against Wisconsin and Michigan State, becomes a game that Michigan fans will be getting excited for at home that we haven't seen in quite a few years. A win versus Penn State, if you win these 2, really sets up Michigan to be a top 6, top 7 team the rest of the year with an opportunity to beat Ohio State, be in the top 4, of course, if they beat Wisconsin, I'm guessing, again, in a rematch in the Big Ten championship game. So look for those guys to return versus Penn State. Almost gave it a 4 Harbaugh head, keeping it at 3 Harbaugh heads as of right now. Shea Patterson. A lot of people thought, myself included, he's coming to Michigan for 1 year, one and done. I know people who talked to his parents said that was the plan all along when he transferred to become the starter, go to the pros after 1 year under Jim Harbaugh's tutelage. But is he no longer a first-round grade anymore? I'm giving this one a 3 Harbaugh head, and that might be kind of playing into his thinking. Not many teams. What you've got the Giants, you've got the Dolphins, maybe a couple others, but there are not going to be, maybe the Jags. I'm not sure how they feel about Bortles long term, but there's not going to be 5, 6, 7 teams that are looking for a first-round quarterback this year. And as such, Shea Patterson is at best the 6th best quarterback. I know Jared Stidham may be taking a hit, but he's still in the latest top 5 in most of the quarterback rankings for the 2019 draft. Justin Herbert, an underclassman at Oregon. Haskins, an underclassman. Then you've got Locke and Stidham, who I believe are seniors. Will Greer as well. One of those might be a junior, but nevertheless, some underclassmen planning to go pro, most likely Haskins and Herbert. Patterson would be 6th best. That's not a first-round grade as of right now. So 3 Harbaugh heads on this one. He certainly has been improving, could play himself back into there with a big second half of the season, but he has not even thrown for 300 yards in a game. Dwayne Haskins, Ohio State, averaging 366 yards a game. You see the discrepancies there. Will Shea Patterson enter the 2019 NFL Draft? As of now, the odds are still much more in the favor that he will. If you look at that minus 192, that means if you bet 100, you're only going to win $52.08. If you bet no, say no, Shea's coming back, you put down 100, you win 130. So the odds are almost 2-1 that says he will go pro. But as of right now, I don't see a first-round grade or a first-round certainly draft capabilities for him in the 2019 NFL Draft. So I am leaning. I'm actually going to put some cash on this. No, I think he's going to be back because he has not impressed the scouts. From a pro perspective, guys like Dwayne Haskins have jumped him this year. Take a look at the next rumor. The offense last week. It was one of the better games in Jim Harbaugh's career from my perspective and a lot of people's perspectives as far as creativity, catching him off guard, adding in new wrinkles, new formations, being aggressive. You had things like one of the first and second real RPOs of the season. You had multiple passes downfield. You had 2 touchdown passes from Shea Patterson, and it could have been a third deep downfield. And then 2 of those 3, the 2 that went for touchdowns, being where he scrambled and the wide receivers were crossing deep downfield. You had Donovan Peoples-Jones with a great catch and skirting up the sidelines. And then you had true freshman Ronnie Bell. So I was told, look, Harbaugh's been changing a lot of things, creeping away from the pro-style offense to more of a shotgun, and as we saw, a pistol-based offense this past week. And so this is just the beginning. 3 Harbaugh heads on that one. We take a look at the offensive numbers from Maryland last week. 294 yards, the most by a big number this year for Michigan. Passing the ball, 171, still got it done on the ground. You see this year averaging 220 passing yards a game. That's, of course, Shea and Dylan McCaffrey, Brandon Peters, whoever they brought in, and 199 rushing yards, just shy of 200 rushing yards. So very balanced offense from Michigan. We take a look at this compared to where they were last year at this time. We see 38, 15 on the defense. Then we see the total O, total D. Take a look where they were last year. It's like a 70-yard difference. And 70-yard difference, what do we have there, Harris? 38, so 13 points, 70 yards better the offense is over what they did as an offense in 2017. Now you kick it back to 2016, though, and that's when they were humming. We all remember Michigan was top 2 or 3 offense in the country, over 50 points a game through the mid-season point, really tapered off down to 40 by the end of the year. But we saw Jim Harbaugh 15, 16. It was more about the defense creating a lot of opportunities. The offense, kind of having 2 wide receivers that were NFL or all Big Ten caliber in Chesson and Darboh. Now we're getting back to these numbers. It's showing that maybe 17 was more of an aberration than potentially the way things will go with Michigan football going forward. All right, 3 more rumors, more on the recruiting front. 5-star Quavaris Crouch as he canceled his visit to Ann Arbor. We're giving this one 4 Harbaugh heads, F-A-C-K. Now, I was told, and I wasn't told, I read this one. Another source had it. Shout out to you guys who follow teenagers for a living and where they're going to college. I'm not one of those guys, but I did read your article, so we're giving it an F-A-C-K. Shout out to the blog boys on this one. Crouch is rescheduling as a mutual decision with the Michigan coaching staff that they are going to give him a game, much like Dax Hill came to SMU. We might see him at one of the games later in the year that don't have as high of a profile as many recruits, not a night game. Down the line, Illinois, I believe they're playing later in the year. I'm not on the schedule in front of me, where they can spend more time with them. So many big-time recruits, so many players coming in this week for the night game. Michigan didn't want to bring in Crouch, a 5-star who's deciding between Michigan, maybe Tennessee, Clemson, Alabama, and not being able to pay him enough attention. So he'll return probably in the next month or so and take it from there. So 5-star Quavaris Crouch will not be in Ann Arbor for the night game versus Wisconsin on Saturday night. Let's keep it moving. Next one up, Zach Harrison. This is a surprising development. 5-star Zach Harrison. Depending on which service you use, one of the top 3 or 4 players in America, F-A-C-K, will be in Ann Arbor Saturday night. And this is on his own dime. He's only driving up 3 hours from Columbus, but big development. Coming off the Dax Hill commitment a few weeks back, getting him on campus for this game where Michigan has a chance to make a statement win, get back into the top 10. with an electric atmosphere crowd with a ton of other recruits that are going to be whispering in his ear to come to Michigan, be part of a really strong class. Take a look at this list here. I'm going to kind of go through Zach Harrison, Trevor Keegan, Jalen Perry, Michigan commit Eric Gray, who we've told you has been wavering. Ole Miss is out there, could be stealing his services from Michigan. He is a Michigan commit, one of the two really strong running back commitments they have. He'll be in Ann Arbor, kind of maybe solidifying that commitment. Then you see all these other 2019 commitments. Jackson, Jones, Smith, and Joey Velasquez, a 3-star who will play safety or linebacker. Some 2020 guys in there, mostly highly noted by Jay Butterfield, a top 50 quarterback in the 2020 class. We're going to talk about another 2020 quarterback here in just a moment. Bo Allen, another pretty highly rated quarterback, but take a look at Butterfield's stats if you want to here. It's no big deal. Top 50 overall in the country, number 43, out of Brentwood, California. Shout out O.J. Simpson, 6'6", 175, 2020 quarterback. He will, if he's interested in committing to Michigan, he is going to be competing for the one quarterback slot they're going to give in 2020 with this next player coming up, and that is 2020 quarterback Harrison Bailey, ranked just a few spots, I think number 60 in the composite right now, below where he is. And I have got this one as there's three Harbaugh heads on this one that he is getting likely that he's going to commit to Michigan. Almost did last week. Harrison Bailey is the man's name, out of the state of Georgia, made several trips to Michigan. I think Michigan is really solidifying their quarterback recruiting in 2020, this year's juniors, and as such, Bailey's been the number one choice all along. With these other guys coming in, like Butterfield, like Allen, it might put the pressure on Bailey to commit, towards the beginning, middle of his junior season in high school. I was told he's almost committed last week. Harrison Bailey, the name to keep out. We know Cade McNamara is coming in the 2019 class. Harrison Bailey could be Michigan's quarterback, 4-star, top 60 player overall in the 2020 class out of the state of Georgia. Keep an eye on that name. Keep an eye on this development in the next few weeks. Could happen very soon. I am clothed today. Check out this crisp white shirt. Mizzen in Maine is the place to go. If you wear dress shirts and if you are a sharp dressed guy outside of work, you got to wear Mizzen in Maine. They are the best performance fabric dress shirts on the market. Go to comfortable.af to snag yourself one today. You could look like James Yoder in the Michigan Football Report. We will be back with Michigan football over under tomorrow. So stick with us and we will see you then.